So the question that we have here is, so what do you do with old blog articles that are off topic? Perfect question, because we had a question from Lisa. I have 2 posts that I wrote and when I first started blogging, and they were horrible. Not ashamed to admit it. Hang on. Who else? Who else? So many. Since they're both on the short side and one has received no views, likes, shares at all, I want to combine the 2 and update the info on one page. What happens to the URL of the old post that I no longer want? In regards to, if you have an old post that is on a topic that you do not talk about, but it gets you page views, you do not want to delete this. You do not want to delete this because page views are still good, even if they're still not bringing you in people. True story from way back in the day. I have a post on essential oils, not selling them, but like actually like how
I think we all, us old bloggers, all have one.
Yeah, because that was what they told us to do when we started our blog, was to join an MLM to afford the pay for the blog.
Isn't that the truth?
So if that's something that you don't want to talk about, you obviously don't have to bring it up to the front page. You don't have to have a category menu item for that. I don't think you have to do anything further if it's an old post, personally, because here's my thinking is like, people are never going to go back to page 1 unless they're a creepy stalker like we are, but that's because this is our job and we would do that. But normal humans are not going to do something like that. So if you have old posts and you're like, this is embarrassing, you can delete them if you want to. If there's no way, if it's just like, I was a mom blogger way back in the day, and I just literally, my old posts were just complaining about my husband not helping with our kids. I was like, these are embarrassing. Embarrassing. There was no redeeming them. There was no trying to change it into my current topics. I just deleted them. And there's nothing wrong with that. They weren't going to get traffic on Google because it wasn't like it was a search engine keyword. It was literally like me complaining about my husband.
Now, let me ask you this, Caroline. Can you draft them rather than delete them so you still have the content? Or does it not work unless you actually delete them?
You can unpublish them. Like you can make it so that they wouldn't show up on your blog. Okay. But I don't see what the point would be if it's so bad that you're like, this is embarrassing. You know what I mean? Like, but you can do it however you want. I just deleted those kinds of posts, but I did have older posts that I was able to morph into something that is relatively, it's applicable to my current topics. Like, so anything that was about what you actually don't need for a newborn that everyone told me I need, I'm like, oh, of course, things to buy for a newborn on a budget. And then I was able to morph it that way. But if you have an old post and you want to combine 2 things, what you can do is you can set up a redirect, and we have a special link for our tech guy, Kashik. Kashik will set you up with a redirect. It's super easy for him to do. I'm not a tech person. I don't know how to do it. There are ways to do it, but I would break my site. So I'm not going to do that. If somebody went to that old blog post that you deleted, it will take them somewhere that's not a 404 page, which is a 404 error page, which we never want to have happen.
We're not telling you to delete any content that is bringing in traffic.
No.
So content that is bringing in traffic, and Caroline is talking about morphing it to make it fit your niche. What she means by that is add a paragraph that helps bring that reader over to your side. So on my homesteading blog, I wrote a whole bunch of organizing posts back in the day. And every year in January, they bring me a crap ton of content. I cannot remove them because they do bring in content. So I went in and put the terms decluttering for a more simpler life, or decluttering for a simple lifestyle, because simple living and homesteading does go hand in hand, whereas decluttering and homesteading doesn't always work together. So I had to go in, change the direction of the content, and that worked for me. So that if there is a way for you to spin it to match your niche, then by all means do that. If you cannot spin it, then just use those blog posts to get you ad revenue. Don't delete them. Use them to get ad revenue and let them sit where they are. Don't put them on your email list. Just let them grow your income as far as your ad revenue is concerned. Now, if you have blog posts that are not bringing in any page views, like maybe 3 a month, you are probably safe and okay to delete them if you do not want to write about that topic, or it does not relate to your niche at all whatsoever. So that's kind of the line that we're using for that. Again, we are not SEO experts. This is just advice. We're not saying do this, don't do that. We're just letting you know this is kind of what we do. If you're unsure, then I would talk to an SEO expert and get the exact help that you need. If you're talking one blog post, I wouldn't worry about it. If you're talking a dozen, you might want to get more professional help on that.
There's a lot of different things that you guys can do. What we're talking about specifically are the blog posts that you wrote when you first started that were literally just you brain dumping and there's no direction to it. It was like early blogging where it wasn't actually like had a purpose. It was just basically like, dear universe, I was sitting at my computer today and a bird flew by the window and it made me ponder how I'm such a bad mom. You can delete them because no one is going to search for that. All of my old, praise Jesus for this one, all of my old stuff that had pins, the pins never took off. They were so ugly. I'm sure that they just got like brushed off into some Pinterest delete folder. Like, I'm never concerned about them. If something is getting you page views though, don't delete it. What we're saying is if you have something on your blog that's not bringing you page views, that would never rank for Google, that you're embarrassed to have on your site altogether, if somebody stumbled across it, you would want to hide and crawl up in a ball and like run away from people for a year and a half. If that's the kind of post that we're talking about, get rid of it.
And I think that is the kind of post that we're talking about. So get rid of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of what we're trying to get at here is there's like there's a scale of old posts of like, there's no redeeming it. And this can be salvaged. And we're talking about the no redeeming.
Let me put this little litmus test out there. If you were to sell your blog today, would those posts make sense to the person buying the blog?
Yeah.
So, and here's how I look. My blogs will all be sold someday. It's kind of my retirement account. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. So I'm constantly trying to get them ready to sell. And that means some of the content needs to go because it doesn't make a personal diary entry is not going to make sense if someone buys my blog down the road. So kind of use that as your litmus test. And then that will help you better decide what content can go and what content should stay.
What?